She got a 911 about a health code violation that was called in last night.
A health code violation? On Franny's?
Mimi's. Apparently your mom's been having her supplies shipped to her house, and there's a record of it. And someone told them about the inside of her house.
I think that Nancy would be, devastated if Amanda and her son split up, because Nancy loves Amanda. Nancy loves Amanda as much as she loves her son. So it would be, she never wants to lose her. Yeah, one of the things I love about this show is that the characters really complicated her relationship with her son and her daughter-in-law. It's very confusing, and it's also confusing for Amanda because she's working, at Franny's, but she's from Mimi's, the other chicken restaurant. So her allegiances are spread thin. But I think that Nancy truly loves Amanda and hopes that she could repair her relationship with her mother and her sister, because she's that nice of a person. She doesn't think just selfishly about herself and her relationship. Oh yeah. I think that my character, Nancy, she doesn't quite understand why her son is such a mess and why he drinks too much and he's not a great husband, and it's vexing when your children don't do what when you think you raised them up right and they're not behaving. So he obviously, his father was a bad influence, which I think we'll find out later. Well, yeah, in this episode, I think Nancy decides that her husband wasn't the man she thought he was, and also it's time to move on. He's passed away, and it's time for her to be a vibrant single woman.
I was gonna say, is she gonna open up her heart maybe?
I think so. I think grief is interesting. Everybody experiences it in different ways, and I think that Nancy's old-fashioned, and she thought when she got married it would be forever, but when her husband passes away, she doesn't think of herself as moving on. But during the course of this first season, she realizes it's time to move on. Yeah, sometimes I read the character and I was like, it's not so interesting. She's so old-fashioned and the antithesis of woke. But then what's interesting is watching that growth as a woman. You get so used to, she was so used to not thinking about herself, which I think is typical for a lot of women. She finally reaches the point where she realizes, this is her one and only life that she has to take care of, and she has to be number one in her own life. And that's a fun journey to watch, because I think it's one that a lot of women have to have.
Yeah, and I don't think it doesn't negate her marriage. It's just this is a new chapter that she's got to sort of chart for herself. So I'm excited to see where that goes.
Yeah, it's a really, really interesting character, and a really interesting so many places for it to go in the second season. Yeah, Nancy she's not comfortable with conflict, I don't think. So she doesn't want to have any conflict. And I'm sure she admires Gus, at her strength and her independence. And I think they at one point were friends, and just things went awry because Gus is stubborn like a mule. And yeah. I think I get exasperated, but I definitely don't hate her. Well, yeah, I think it's really fun when I decide to replant the plants that have been ruined in Gus's yard, and it is her love language, gardening and taking care of and fixing. I think that Nancy knows that Gus has a hoarding problem, and that she wants to mend because she knows it's best for Amanda, and she loves Amanda so much. And I'm sure she doesn't like these outsiders coming in and ruining everybody's peace and quiet in this small town. Yeah, I didn't get to act very much with May, with Genevieve Angelson, and she's such a great character. She's got so much energy. I feel like they would be a formidable duo if we put them together in some capacity, like decorating or publicity or something like that. I think they'd be a really interesting combination, and I'm sure the writers will want to do that because they've done so many other combinations. They like to mix it up. So, second season, keep watching. Well, Nancy accidentally, spoiler alert, catches Sergio and Amanda kissing. And she has a very interesting reaction to it, which is something we can all relate to. She just pretends it didn't happen.
Southern way.
Yes. And I think I thought that was really interesting. And she just puts it aside and figures out how to deal with it later, you know. And it comes out in a very interesting way. I thought that the writers were really smart about how they dealt with that. I just hope you get to see more of her being this eccentric kind of older lady, like sowing her oats and having some romance and maybe becoming better friends, like the Odd Couple with Gus. I think we're like the Odd Couple.
Yeah.
And I think that would be fun to see and fun to do because I'm madly in love with Wendy Malick and everything she does and says and who she is. She's just comedy genius, and I feel so happy working with this amazing cast and the extended cast as well, because it's a giant cast with all the townsfolk and everything. I love the characters. I love the girl who plays my granddaughter and Frank Jr. You know, so there's so many places they can go, and I know that they're working on it right now, so I can't wait. Sometimes it's like a Christmas present when you open up a script and you're like, I get to do this, I get to do that.